It seems super obvious.
They just cry and cry. It's all they're good for.
Honestly, I didn't even realize there was a controversy.
All I can really say, it's not worth it to cost caution for your teammates, especially your reputation.
Welcome to the ISRC The Long Run. My name is Sam Dyer, one of the commentators at Freeky Fast Broadcasting.
I'm Tyler Dengler, the driver of the number 19 Toyota Tundra for Larson Line Racing.
Hello, my name is Christopher Norris. I drive the 38 Ford F-150 for Snowy Desert Racing.
Hi, I'm Nick Crawford, driver of the number 4 for Snowy Desert Racing.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, driver of 00. Team is Jet Blackjack Racing.
My name is Mark Whitley. I am the driver of the number 77 Harpoon Design Shop and Reduct Silverado for Driven Motorsports. What got me onto iRacing was I've always liked iRacing. The idea of it always seemed really cool and really it just seemed like this really cool, almost unobtainable thing that once I found out about it back in 2009, 2010, I thought it was the coolest thing. But back then I couldn't really afford. iRacing was more expensive kind of than what it is now. You had to have a really good PC and I really didn't have that. So it's something I always wanted to do. But then once they announced they were coming out with dirt, but I think it was 2016, I think it was. That's kind of the final straw that was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Dirt racing, something my dad's done. I did a little bit of dirt go-kart racing back in the day. And it's just something it was finally just like the last thing. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get into it. And I got into it mainly for that, but I've just honestly run more asphalt than dirt. So it just kind of worked out. So that's the main thing that got me into it.
Getting into iRacing, when the pros weren't able to drive, and they started doing iRacing, that's what really got my attention. Because I heard about it before, but it didn't interest me too much. But once I saw them doing it, I was like, all right, well, maybe it's something I got to try. And, thankfully I did. I don't regret it, and I love racing every time.
What got me into iRacing? So I remember as little 14-year-old Tyler watching what used to be the peak iRacing series, the peak coolant iRacing series, when it used to be the peak, not the Coke series. I remember watching that for a long time, and I never really knew what iRacing was, but I kind of knew the general gist of it. It's a simulator, it's super expensive. You got to get all these different things for it, but I didn't really have the money for it back then. Fast forward to COVID and, the pandemic, being in quarantine. My parents thankfully got me a PC for a graduation gift, during COVID. So once I was able to get a PC, I got myself iRacing as well. And then I just basically started from that. So I started back in, June or July of 2020.
How were you mentally feeling coming out of the regular season? I was a little scared after what happened. Basically 2 points from being eliminated from the top 20, which means my win wouldn't have counted, and I wouldn't have made the playoffs, which I'm very fortunate that I did.
Coming out of the regular season, I was just excited to be in the playoffs. We got our whole team in there. We got Cedric, Norris, and me, and just trying to figure out how to drive Rockingham, because it's a tough track and it's not used often. Probably raced at it twice. So try to get past Rockingham and then practice for Talladega.
Honestly, I felt like I didn't have that much speed going into the playoffs anyway. So I basically just had to, fight. I probably won't make it out of the first round anyway, which is fine as long as I'm, one of the top 16. I feel like that's a good, finish to this season, honestly. But if I can make it into the round of 12, maybe the round of 8, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But other than that, I feel fine. I'm ready for Talladega.
I feel like the season went pretty good for us. Was kind of, I would say, missed opportunities was probably the number one, if you had to describe it, it was missed opportunities. Had to start and park for the first couple races of the season, dealing with a previous league commitment. Missed out on a really good track at Homestead. Feel like we probably had the fastest truck there. Had to pull it in early, so only one win on the season so far. Not what we're wanting. Hoping to get more here in the playoffs. Definitely think we got the speed for it.
Eventually, coming out of the regular season, it was, I felt great. I'm always confident. I made it to the Final Four both seasons before, so there's no reason why I ain't going to do it again. And that's what I expect. Making the playoffs 3 times in a row, I hold myself to a very high standard because of it, and I plan on reaching the Final Four again this season.
As a commentator, you always try to prepare for these types of moments of playoffs. When they come around, you never truly know how it's going to change when you go from the regular season to playoffs, who's going to step up, who's going to fall down. I've been doing commentating for that of around 3 years at this point, and when you get to the playoffs as a commentator, you're a lot more excited, you're jittery, it's a big moment, and you're curious on who's going to step up.
The goal that we went into Rockingham with was honestly just try to get as good a finish as we could. That's a track I've kind of struggled at historically. I've never really been able to figure out a good line to run there. I couldn't never figure out, especially on the long run. Seemed like I struggled, and we were just trying to hope to get a good finish, go in there, get a good finish, not lose any points, and just play protect mode a little bit, just try to see what we could do.
The goal heading into Rockingham was for me to either get a win or Cedric. Cedric will get into the next round easy, but probably for me to get a win. That way we don't really have to worry too much about Talladega, so that we can push Norris to the win. But it was just to save tires, make it to the stage, make it to the finish without crashing, because Rockingham is a narrow track at points.
What was the goal into Rockingham? Well, I know my number one goal was to save tires, but that worked pretty well, but that wasn't what I needed. What I really needed to do is slow down.
What was the goal heading into Rockingham? My goal, because I've been busy a lot lately, these last couple weeks, my plan, just go in, have a clean race, get those points for getting having a clean race. Wasn't too focused on stage points, even though I probably should. But, just keep the car above you, or keep the car below me, focus on getting a finish at the end, getting a good finish at the end, and then, holding that position, know who I'm kind of, fighting around throughout the race. So I kept in track of that. Honestly, just keep the car underneath me, don't get into any incidents, be cautious, and other than that, that was all I got. So throughout the race, basically I wanted to start from the back. I didn't get that much practice, even for the hour before the race and then throughout the week. So I figured, keep, tires underneath me, get, good run, keep the tires going, let everyone else burn their stuff off. And, I'd make it to the end, basically.
To conquer the rock, it's time for the playoff racing. Race number 1, the round of 16. Here we go.
That was scary as Alright, lesson learned. No first gear on restarts. Learn my lesson.
So on a me level, for me, my race at Rockingham, it was going good. It was decent. I think I was up to like 7th or 6th, something like that. I was trying to pass Ollie, and then at that point I was actually shifting down to 3rd in the corners just to help the truck rotate, keep it off the right front. And while having VR and shifting with an H pattern, I managed to downshift to second. I money shifted in the middle of the corner, spun out, and took out 2 other playoff guys.
What the? That sucks. What even happened right there? Did you hit the apron?
He was like in the middle of the track.
It went into second gear.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally... I'm out. Blown injury right now, man. That sucks.
Rockingham, I think, went pretty good for us at the beginning of the race. We were able to get up to second pretty quickly, follow jump around.
What was that, dude? Time to get the damn thing going back straight.
Whitley, I apologize if I didn't give you enough room there. I wasn't sure. My spotter was telling me I did, though.
Yeah, I think I just hit a bump or something.
What a save, Forbes. Did everything I could not get into there, Whitley. I didn't know you were going to take the bottom.
I'm honestly going wherever the hell this thing wants to go.
No one? Did you hit the wall?
Yeah, I lost track of where we were.
Tell me how your Rockingham race went. Not very good. I was doing quite well in P10 on the final stage there, and then once we came down for a green flag pit stop, I ended up speeding 10 miles per hour over, and that basically just ruined the race, and I was like, someone back in like P19 or something.
Great racing, boys.
Sir.
We got the damage fixed, and then we kind of tried a little weird strategy toward the end of the race, thinking it might work, and I kind of bailed on it early. If I'd have stuck with it, we'd probably had a little bit better finish, but coming out there with a top 10, I think we finished 7th. That's more than I'd have been happy. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the night that's what we would have done, I'd have took it and ran. So I think it went pretty good. Could have went better, but it went pretty good for us.
My race went well. I believe I finished 10th, which honestly is good for my standards. As long as I'm somewhere in the top 10, getting some sort of points, that's all cool with me.
We were not giving the coverage at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Emergency stuff popped up, but we were still kind of watching how this race was going to go down. I was actually helping some drivers, feeding information, and being kind of more of a crew chief / spotter in some ways, as well as jotting down notes and seeing how that race was going down. And it was interesting to see how the race was evolving. So I think the biggest surprise had to be a non-playoff driver, that of Nolan Hicks. He was just overall faster than anyone else at times until a late penalty came out. Christopher Norris following in his same tire tracks, and what a bizarre turn of events. And then we got even later into the series where we found that of John Forbes. Let's just have the drivers talk about it.
My thoughts on the controversy after Rockingham. Honestly, I didn't even realize there was a controversy until I was watching Discord after the race. I just thought the caution to come. I didn't realize it was a teammate of the guy that was leading. I didn't really think nothing of it. It seemed a little sketchy, but to me, it didn't really affect me too much. I just kind of rolled. I was like, if that was something that was on purpose, karma comes around and gets you. So if it's something that was deliberate, something it'll come back around to them. So I'm not going to say I'm worried one way or the other. So it is what it is.
As for the controversy, just because we have been accused by the same team of doing the same thing, it was kind of rough, to be honest, and it seems super obvious, and it's almost too coincidental. Everything lines up for it to be just a coincidence, but you never really know. You're not in somebody's head. They could be lying to you. They could be telling you the truth. Who knows?
I'll start off with how Rockingham went and the controversy and how our team's handling it. It's not a big deal to us. We just race. We don't believe in cheating our way to a win. If that was the case, it would make sense as to why we wouldn't have done it last season when I had a chance to win the championship, when I was in the lead by like 7+ spots. But Snowy Desert Racing doesn't listen to reason or logic, so there's really not much there's no point. They just cry. They cry. It's all they're good for. They've hated my team, Blackjack Racing, since we dominated Gateway. When they have bad races, they just like to whine and complain, and they like to blame other people for it. Unfortunately, they drew attention to us for no apparent reason. I've been with this league for quite a while, and to have my integrity questioned like that is quite annoying. But other than that, Rockingham went great for me, obviously. It's just when you race and make good calls, sometimes you win, and people complain when, they dominated all race and they didn't make the good call. It's just what happens.
All I can really say, it's not worth it to cost a caution for your teammates, especially your reputation.
Well, Freaky Fast Broadcasting came back for that of Talladega, the cutoff race. Who was moving on from the round of 16? to that of the round of 12.
What is the plan going into Talladega? Survive. Basically, just because, of how aggressive, this league can be at super speedways and just in general. One wrong move can kill, tons of cars, or tons of trucks all in an instant. So basically, just survive. Everyone's probably going to want to stay in the back. Might make a push towards stage points, at stage, but everyone else might too. So you never really know. I could luck into stage points if I'm just being careful. But other than that, goal is just to survive.
The plan going into Talladega is to survive. With the trucks, a lot of bump drafting is going to happen, and you almost need to. They're all going to be very close. It's going to be a lot of swerving left and right. But the plan is stick with the team, and hopefully we can get one of us into victory lane. I'd like to push Norris, my son, into victory lane. That way we can guarantee all three of us making it. Because if we all finish 1, 2, 3, it's more than likely we're going to make it in.
As for Dega, unfortunately, John Forbes, my teammate, got a penalty. I'm already locked in for the next round, so I'm going to stay down pit road. We have to hold for 1 lap. I'm going to try to, keep him from going 2 laps down off the start. Cody Reed's going to go out there with everybody else. Hopefully he can stay alive during the whole time. But we're confident we can move on, as long as it doesn't stay green the whole time. Hopefully John can get some of his laps back, and with it just being me and him, hopefully it's not going to be too bad. Just going to do our best and go from there. And if they don't make it, they've always helped me. They've always came back and participated and raced, and I'm not too worried as of right now. So
The plan going into Dega, I think, is the plan you always have at Dega. It's just survive. If you go into Dega thinking I'm going to win this race, more times than not, you're going to wind up upside down on your lid, probably on lap 4. I hesitate to call that kind of racing. I think it's more just glorified highway traffic. But, it's exciting to watch a lot of times. Never know when the big one's going to strike. It's always stressful whenever you're in the playoffs. You don't want to get caught up in it. And, right now we're sitting at a good cushion. So even if we get involved, I think we should be okay. But you just never want to have to fall back on that point push or the points gap you got. You always want to go out there and do good. And at Dega, it's I'd say it's a flip of the coin, but I think it's worse odds than a coin flip. So it's going to just be about cross your fingers and hopefully you can get through the race.
What was your mindset currently for the Talladega race? Well, honestly, I just knew I had a good mindset heading into it, and just hope for not being super tired. I know some people can doze off at Talladega races, of course, because they're boring sometimes. And made sure I didn't have a buying mindset, like where I was irritated, didn't want to react to anyone, willing to work with everyone, which is what happened.
My mindset going into Talladega was pretty much, at the beginning of the week I was thinking probably just take it easy and just survive. The closer the race got, I was kind of just looking back at some of my previous races, and it seemed like every time I just tried to take it easy and just kind of ride at the back, it seemed when I got in the most trouble. So I tried to, going into the race, I was thinking, well, if I can just maybe stay up front and be in the top 4 or 5 cars and lead pack, might be a little bit better of surviving. And if I can, try to lead one of the lines, because I know usually it's two groups, 2 lines. So I figured, going in there, we should maybe try to run up front. That seemed to be, I had better luck when that happened. So that was the goal.
My mindset going into Talladega was, at all costs, we need to get Christopher Norris into the playoffs. That was the goal. At that point, we just needed to hang back, get through green flag pit stops, avoid any cautions if possible, and then just somehow figure out how to get him to the front at the end of the race.
And then going into qualifying, it's always just, qualifying is always, either really smooth and you hit it perfect lap, or you're not and you're 20 spots back. But It was a little weird. There wasn't nearly as many people qualified as usual. So I think there's only 8 or 9 people that qualified, and we set the quick lap and sat on pole, and that's pretty much where we wanted to be. Had a teammate in the race, John. He didn't get a great qualify. I think he was like 8th or 9th out of the cars that qualified, so he was kind of farther back, but still kind of close enough to me where we could try to get together. And
We're green for that of the final race of the round of 16.
beginning of the race was just trying to, feel it out, see how the race was going to go. It seemed like it was going to, after the first few laps, it felt like it could go green. We were just trying to see who we could work with, who was a good pusher, who worked together with who. It was just getting information for later in the race. So knowing who works well together, that way A, if you can either try to break them up later in the race, or B, try to work with them as a 3-car group instead of just 2 later. It might come to your advantage. So the beginning of the race is always just kind of information gathering.
Everything was going kind of according to plan when it came to green flag pit stops, so we kind of were already separated as a team, me, Cedric, and Norris, but somehow we made it to the stage all on the lead lap, so that's what we needed as a reset.
The drivers that need the points badly, Cody Reed, Eric Stamp, 2 drivers that are outside looking in. One of them after this stage is going to be for sure at the bubble spot because of the fact that Tyler Dengler missed today's race. One of these 2 will be moving into the position of being that 12th driver in line to try to move on to the next round. The other one will be fighting to try to bump them out. Christopher Norris also in a tricky spot as he's nowhere close to getting stage points. He could also be bumped out after this stage. We're a half a lap away from getting this stage break done. Top 10 get bonus points as we're seeing our top 8 deucing and dicing on who's going to be getting those stage points. They're also getting frisky back for 9th and 10th on who's going to get those last 2 points as well.
And looking like that, Cedric Hunter made the big move, pushed Mark Whitley out to the lead. He jumped down to the bottom, but here goes Eric Stamp and Trent Jump. They're going to use their teamwork here coming to the line.
Trent Jump's going to be on the outside. Here comes out of Eric Stamp. Stamp coming on the outside, but not close enough. Yellow flag waves as here's going to be our top 10 from the stage. Trent Jump's going to be getting first with maximizing those points. Eric Stamp's going to get second. That is Cedric Hunter's going to get third with Mark Whitley 4th. Logan Brickey gets 5th. Kyle Rochelle 6th. Cody Reed 7th. Joshua Freed going to be getting that 8th. Ollie Fonseca 9th. Danny Cochran gets 10th. Rest of drivers, no bonus points for you.
What happened during the Talladega race for you? Well, it was going quite well. Eventually at the start, for some reason, we started to fall back. I believe it's because Ollie was having some internet issues, so it was making us lose the draft, and eventually we fall back to 4 or 5 plus seconds beyond. And it kind of screwed me up, so no stage points.
And then in the second part of the race, it was going according to plan. We were sticking together, working together, and we were just trying to stay near the front pack. We didn't want to lose the draft or anything, get caught up in any wrecks, so we're kind of just hanging on there.
We're back to green flag racing here at Talladega.
Great start from the bottom lane there once again. The Color Till Graphics guys getting out to an early jump.
Driving styles really changed for these drivers as yellow flag's gonna strike. Issues behind. Gonna be seen here. Watch that white machine in the 8th. That's gonna be Noah Steele. He's just gonna give a bad bump to the 00, coming back down into that of Christopher Norris. And those are those moments where it's kind of frustrating if you're a lead lap driver being bumped by a lap car and then you find yourself being spun around.
Sorry, Ethan, I wasn't ready for the checkup.
Yeah, they got into it ahead of us.
Get prepared. It's Trent Jump, Ollie Fonseca, Eric Stamp, Dakota Moniz, Cody Reed, your top 5 with Danny Cochran, Isaac Shelley, Carl Fuller, also that of Kyle Rochelle, Joshua Reed. And it is time to get back to green flag racing for Roll with the Tide 240 here this evening as we're at the start of lap 53 into turn number 1. They set themselves up to be as far ahead as possible, and here we go. Pit stops underway.
Whew, that was so close. Carl Fuller was leading that group down the pit road, and he almost got clipped by Kyle Rochelle. that topped off. How much have they saved? But here they come this time.
Into pit road, also going to be a big cluster. They're not alone. It's going to be Kyle Rochelle and others, but do not make any mistakes. Mistakes were killer to Nolan Hicks last week at Rockingham. He went from trying to battle for the lead to out of...
But towards the end, working with my teammates worked pretty well. Led one lap for that 1 point. And then we were in the top 5. The whole team was top 8, if anything. Until the last 5 laps where we had a yellow, unfortunately. Otherwise, it probably would have been a 100% guarantee win.
And then at the end, I think if it weren't for that last caution, we were going to get a solid maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th place for Norris, and we'd probably follow right behind. But that caution did happen. It shook up a lot of things.
They're racing, sitting, lingering, waiting to see how they're going to pounce. 4 laps to go here tonight.
Yeah, and I wonder how much is Norris willing to risk in that 38 machine. Christopher came in here 1.2 the good here coming in tonight. But the question is, he didn't get stage points. And oh, cautions out on the racetrack. That second group wrecked.
The timing of that.
Who was the caution?
The 8 put everybody in the second pack 4 wide.
That whole run in that pack was just miserable.
For tonight, overtime attempt number 1. It's roll with the tide 240. It's the last race of the round of 16. Let's go back to green flag racing. And through the tri-oval, the white flag in the air. It's time for us to see that of the right red white flag. Who's getting it done? Mark Whitley, Eric Stamp, Zach, it's time to get racing.
And this is it, Sam. This is the official into this race here. One final lap here, 2.66 miles around this two.
We made it to the white flag. Well, in the back stretch, Erhardt Stamp got spun by his teammate trying to jump straight onto me, and well, you can guess what happened from there.
He wrecks his teammate. This is it. It's the big one. They're all wrecking behind.
At the end, I was doing great. I missed that wreck on the backstretch, and then my best friend, Cody Reed, decided to bump draft in the corner, sent me to the left.
It's gonna be trying to jump.
That was a great move coming off of 4. Had Brantley in my spot. He was pretty much like, you and John, it's just you two, and there's one single car, ain't gonna catch it.
It's the teammates. They were strong at the beginning. They keep it strong at the end. Mark Whitley, Jonathan Smith, 1-2.
Came across the line, and that was I'm pretty sure my neighbors heard the excitement on my voice there, because I was not expecting to win. Dega, if you never expect to win, whenever you get it, you're happy for it, because more times than not, you're going to be going home on the record. So going home in victory lane with a pretty much spot-free car, it's awesome, especially being able to go into the next round with some momentum.
What were you thinking when you learned that the points were tied at the cutoff line? Well, I was 100% scared. I know I just made the original playoffs by 2 points within my win at Atlanta, and fortunately I did make this one, but I was scared to not make the next one. If it wasn't for that 1 lap lead or the P12, I would not have 100% made it. And thankfully I did. We did knock Ollie out, which is the second time I knocked someone out, but I'm just glad I had the 2 decent finishes at Talladega and Rockingham to advance.
I'm actually really excited for the next 2 races. It's a road course and a short track. That's kind of my wheelhouse, I would say. I won at Bristol, and I really want to do good at the road courses, but I seem to have really bad luck when it comes to them, whether it's my own choices of what to do, what moves to make, or strategy. It's hard.
But America is probably going to be a decent track for me. I tend to have very good luck on road courses, so I'm hoping that sits out and if I just practice enough, it could be a top 5, even could be a win. And as for Nashville Fairgrounds, I believe that's a short track, so anything goes. I mean, hopefully just Road America gets me in a nice position to move on to the next round and not have to deal with getting wrecked out there.
Hopefully we can maybe get a win at one of those 2 tracks and lock us into the round after that, and just keep rolling until we get to the last race. I believe it's at Phoenix, and just try to go win that championship, because that's something that's been on my mind ever since season 1 ended. I just want to try to get a championship in here, so we're going to go try to see what we can do the rest of the playoffs. I know feel pretty confident going in the rest of the races. Hopefully we can keep it rolling. It's I know one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite athletes, Tiger Woods. He says, "Winning takes care of everything." So hopefully we're just going to get into the winning train here on the playoffs and let it take care of itself and go win a championship. So appreciate y'all. Catch y'all later.
Well, I guess you do say that time's a shot. It's about the 5th time I've done this.
I had waffles before this. So now my throat is all weird. All right.
Am I peeking? If so, I'm my bad. What were you thinking when you learned that the Thanks.
Hi, Sam. As for final thoughts, everybody better watch out. We're going to Talladega. I don't know what's going to happen, but Snowy Desert is definitely going to have a say in the finish, hopefully.